Greetings friends. I had a request for this video, and in this video I'm going to be adding lights to helipads. For this to work for you, you're going to need a free mod that you can get from Flightsim.to. I will pin the URL in the description below. The mod that we're going to be using for Flightsim.to, it is free, is a Helipads pack. So make sure you go to Flightsim.to and get the Helipads mod, and you will be able to follow along with me. Greetings and welcome to Patriot 6. I make tutorial videos for scenery building or modifications to scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 utilizing SDK. Different people at different levels of skill see these videos. You may be here because you're curious, or you may already know the basics of scenery building. It is impossible for me to know who will click on a video. Because of the broad range of folks that view the videos, I include the basics in each video. This and all new videos will be built in chapters. You can find the chapters of the video in the description below. In addition, you can see the chapters on the video timeline if you want to skip the basic chapters. Let's talk about the tools that we need to build scenery. In most projects, it's very simple. The items which you use to build scenery are typically in your scenery library already. There are exceptions though. If you are bringing a 3D model into the sim, that would be an exception. If you are using the Earth to MSFS tool, that is another exception. And on occasion, you may need a text editor. I will explain the reason for the text editor once I do a video where the text editor is needed. For starters, put a folder on your desktop that you will use as your working scenery folder. I have one here and I will show you what I have in it. All I have in it is the simple scenery folder I downloaded from SDK, and I do have a thumbnail. In the simple scenery folders that you download through this version of SDK, a thumbnail is not mandatory because there is a standard thumbnail within the scenery package. However, on all of my projects, I choose to have a thumbnail, and it's your choice where you want to go with the standard thumbnail in the scenery folder or if you want your own. If you decide you want to make your own thumbnail, the thumbnail has to be the precise dimensions of this thumbnail I use, 412 by 170 pixels. No other size will work. So if you build your own thumbnail, please keep this rule in mind. To build scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, you must be in developer's mode. And this is a very simple process, and I'll walk through it. First, you go to Options, go to General Options, you go to Developers, On, Apply and Save. Once in Developer's mode, you will see a menu appear at the top. I refer to this often as the Developer's menu. In addition to being in Developer's mode, you must have SDK, and this is a very simple process. You go up to the Developer's menu, you find the Help, you tick on Help, and then you tick on SDK Installer Core, and a window will open up and SDK will load in. And from that point, you can decide where you want the SDK. I'm going to tick off of this because I already have it. I put SDK on my C drive and I called the folder MSFS SDK, but you can place SDK where you want to place it. In addition to that, it's always good to go in and get the samples, and from the same help menu you want to go down to samples, and again you will download the samples. I'm going to stop it because I already have the samples. And once you download the samples, you can go into your SDK folder that you built, and you can find samples by ticking on the samples folder. And there's all kinds of samples here, but the one most often used is the one called Simple Scenery. Let's talk about the developer camera. The developer camera is something that is vital and something that you will use often. And to get to the developer camera, you go up to the developer menu, tick on camera, and tick on developer camera. Operating the developer camera is a lot like operating the drone camera. So I'll show you the keys that we use to operate the developer camera. If we want to drop, we hit the F key. If we want to rise, we hit the R key. If we want to go left, we use the A key. And if we want to go right, we use the D key. If we want to go forward, we use the W key. And if we want to go in reverse, we use the S key. There's also some numerical keys that you can use. On the number pad, the 4 key will spin you, and the 6 key will spin you in the opposite direction. The 8 key will tilt your camera up, and the 2 key will tilt your camera down. Occasionally when you're building scenery, your azimuth will get off. So that's very easy to correct by using the 7 key or the 9 key. And then you can correct your azimuth. You can also use the mouse and freely move around. By holding down the left Alt key and by using your left mouse button, you're able to move anywhere you want to move. Also, you can use the mouse wheel to zoom in or out. Almost always, this is a process I go through. I'll tick on the developer camera. I will drop to the ground using the F key. Then I will use the left Alt key and the left mouse button to make sure I can spin in small areas. That is the fine control of the camera I'm looking for. What I don't want is this. You see what happened there? As soon as I got in and I used my mouse button to move, look how far I am from my aircraft. So again, to the developer camera, drop down with the F key, and with the left Alt key depressed and the left mouse button, make sure you can make minute movements. And now you're good to go and ready to use the developer camera. The first thing I'm going to do is prepare my scenery folder for this project. Here is the working scenery folder with my simple scenery folder in it and the Helipads folder from Flightsim.to. I'm going to make a copy of the simple scenery folder and paste the copy into the working scenery folder. Now I'm going to rename the simple scenery folder. Now with the folder renamed, I'm going to open the folder up. I'm going to package sources, and I'm going to delete model lib. And now I'm going back to the working scenery folder, and I'm going to open up the Helipads mod. You will notice when you open the folder up, it has a package sources. I'm going to open the package sources. I'm going to copy the model lib. Now I'm going back to my folder I prepared for the job, and I'm going to open it. I'm going to package sources, and now I'm going to paste the new model lib in. And if I open the model lib up, I should see the models. And there are the models. So now we're good to go. This is the area where I will be working, so I'm going to start over here, relatively close. And I'm going to fly. Now that I've zoned in, I'm going up to the developer menu. I'm going to options, and I'm going to pause the simulator. With the simulator paused, now I'm going to hit fly. I'm going back up to developer menu, camera, and open the developer camera. And now I'm going to adjust the time of day for daylight so I can see. This is where I'll be working, at Vanderbilt's Children's Hospital. At this point, I'm going back to the developer menu, Tools, Project Editor. With the project editor open, the inspector is up, but if your inspector does not come up, make sure you go down to the project editor, tick on View, and tick on Inspector. On the project editor, I'm going to Project, Open Project. Now I'm going to navigate to the proper folder, which is Patriot 6 Helipad Lights. Open. I'm going to drop down to the first XML document, and I'm going to open. And now that I have it open, I'm going to the project editor. I'm going to My Company Scenery Simple, tick, and the inspector fills in. And now I'm going to change the name. And I'm going to change my company name. I could use this thumbnail, but I'm going to insert my own thumbnail. I just have to navigate to it. And here it is. Select it and open. The next step, I'm going to build the package. When the dialog box pops up, modifications detected, tick yes. Now we wait for the package to build. The package is built. I'm going back up to the developer menu, Window, remove the console. And I need to go back to daylight. That's what happens when you work at nighttime. The next step, I'm going to the project editor. I'm dropping down to My Scene BGL, tick, Load in Editor on the inspector, and you patiently wait for your objects to load in. If these windows do not come up, we will need all three of these windows. The scenery editor will come up, but if the objects in Gizmo do not pop up, then go down to the scenery editor, tick on View, and then tick on Objects and Gizmo. It might take a few minutes for the scenery library to load in. The scenery library has loaded in. I'm going to tick All on the Objects window. And now to find the helipads, I simply need to type in GBZ, or in some countries it would be GBZ. All of the objects in this Helipad mod start with GBZ. So I know if I type in GBZ, it's going to sort the items and I'll have the items that I need. I'm going to drop down to the square pad and I'm going to add. Now the first thing you will notice, it is on the ground opposed to atop the building. By default, many objects snap to ground. To resolve this, I'm going to the scenery editor, I'm going to View, and I'm going to Properties. And once the Properties window pops up, I'm going to remove Snap to Ground. And with the Snap to Ground removed, I can grab this green arrow here and raise this little puppy up. And now I'm going to orientate the helipad as best I can. I'm going to use the gizmo, swap the gizmo to rotate from translate. And I'm going to grab this green line right here and spin. Now I'm going back to translate, where I can move. I want to get this positioned at the right height. So with the gizmo on translate, I can move it up and down. I want all of it to show through, but I don't want this to be any higher than it has to be. So that looks about right. So now that I have the helipad positioned, I'm going to look for lights. And I want to use the lights that are in this scenery package that we downloaded from Flightsim.to. So I will keep the GBZ in the search bar, and I'm going to change the time of day to where it's dark enough the lights come on, but light enough I can still see. There are 4 colors we can use: a blue, a red, a green, and a white. So I will place one of each on the helipad. I will start with blue. I will tick on blue and then tick add. And again, just like the helipad, this is going to be set to snap to ground on the properties. So I'm going to remove snap to ground. And I'm going to position this light as best I can by using the gizmo on translate. I will get the proper height. And that looks about right. Now I'm going to grab another light. I'm going to grab another light. So I will grab a white light and tick add and scoot it over to the side. I'll grab the red light and tick add and scoot it over to the side. And now I'm going to grab the green light and tick add. And now with each of these lights, by going to the properties menu and ticking off snap to ground and using the gizmo, I'm going to position all of these lights around the helipad. And now I have all 4 colors added. I have to assume that you want 1 color or 2 colors around your helipad, but I wanted to show you all 4 of the options that you have. And now I'm going to show you the drawback. These lights are limited in the distance that you can get from the hospital and still see them. At this point, I cannot see the lights. So I'm going to show you something that you may or may not want to do. It's up to you, but this will help if you want to do it. Up on the Objects window, in the search bar, I'm going to type warm. And I'm going to grab a warm light. And I'm going to tick add. And just like everything else we've done here, I'm going over to the Properties menu, remove the snap to ground, and raise the light up. You can position this light close for more light, or you can back it off some to make it a little less bright. The good news is you can see this helipad now from a great distance. To the point you can't hardly make it out. And you notice the color lights do not become visible until I get very close to the hospital. It's up to you if you want to have a light that you can see all the time, or if you're fine with the light showing up as you get close, that's okay too. I just wanted to give you some options. Now at this time, I'm satisfied with the work that I've done, so I'm going to the scenery editor and save the scenery. The scenery is now saved. So I'm going over to the project editor I'm going to get off of My Scene BGL and go back up to the My Company Scenery Simple. And the inspector should light up. And now I'm going to build the package again. Once the package is built, again up to the developer menu, window, and tick off the console. At this point, the package is built and the scenery is safe, so I'm going to remove the tools by going to the developer menu and ticking the tools off. I'm going to bring the package folder over. And I'm also going to open my community folder. I'm going to open up the Patriot 6 Helipad lights. I'm going to Packages. And the package is My Company Scenery Simple. I want to make a copy. I'm going to paste the copy into my community folder. And it is pasted in. You can see My Company Scenery Simple. And I'm going back to the working scenery folder, back to my original scenery folder. And I'm going to copy the name. And I'm going to rename My Company Scenery Simple with the same name as the scenery folder. Should be able to just paste it in. There we are. And with it renamed with a unique name, you can always find this in the community folder, should you need to look it up. And now I'm going to restart the simulator. The simulator has been restarted to pick up the new package. And now I'm going to zone into the area. And again, I'm going up to the developer menu, options, and pause the sim so the little helicopter doesn't fly away, and hit fly. I'm getting in the developer camera and look for our lights. And as you can see, our helipad is there and the lights are there. And that's how you add lights to helipads. Hopefully this video helps more than one person, but if it helps one person, then that makes me happy. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments below. I would appreciate if you go over to the Patriot 6 Facebook page. I will pin that in the description below. Thank you for watching Patriot 6. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you soon in the next video.